Hello and welcome to another episode of Motion Camp. Today we're going to talk about RIGS and how to get the best use out of them. I was recently trying to put a Video Hive template together so I could put it up for sale, and I came across some things that were working quite well and then other things that weren't working quite well, and I figured out some tricks and I wanted to share that with the community, so hopefully this will help y'all with y'all's RIGS process in the future. If anybody knows Cinema 4D, it lets you create 3D moves with cameras and 3D objects, and you can do a lot of crap with it. A lot of professionals use it in the industry. But anyways, I had 3 different camera moves on this iPad and a phone and a monitor to so somebody could put similar things on the screen and showcase some of their websites or something like that. So I'll open up one of the projects, which will be this one right here. And as you can see, what Cinema 4D brings over is the camera. So the same camera that's in Cinema 4D will get translated into a motion camera, which makes it easy to insert text. For instance, if I was to put in text right now and say text, and I was to put that in a 3D layer, as you can see, it moves with the camera. Now, of course, I have that in a random spot. Let's zero it out and see where it sits at. As you can see, it sits right there in the and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to animate it or anything. It's just sitting right there. Of course, it's pixelated because I don't have best turned on, but then you'll see it render out completely. Anyways, so what you get from Cinema 4D, I'll delete this 3D text layer. You get the camera file, which I'll go ahead and turn all these layers off that aren't important right now. You get the camera file, and that is what I was showing y'all earlier, what I rendered out from Cinema 4D. You can also render out masks that are basically the same thing. So if you see what that is the iPhone mask, or the phone mask, not an iPhone. Then there's a monitor mask as well. As you can see, there's some obstruction in the way, so it'll even mask that out. And then as well as the other side, which would be the tablet. And so that's what gives you the mask in order to be able to hide it inside the screen. The other thing that Cinema 4D exports out is so if you set that screen in Cinema 4D to be a layer, it'll export that layer's position in the project. And it works really well when it is a flat screen. That's why I made a screen. So when I turn these on, you'll notice there's a drop zone there, and it moves exactly along with it. So really nice feature to be able to change out whatever you want in the project without having to re-render from Cinema 4D, because re-rendering takes a very long time. And this can only take 5 seconds. So the idea was I have 3 of these, so I'm going to X out of this one. And I made, it's called Works on All Devices. So say you have a website and you want to show that it works on a phone, an iPad, and a monitor, a regular computer monitor. Alright, so I was able to copy all my projects into one file, and I labeled them accordingly: camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and then I have C2 means camera 2, C3 means camera 3, and C1 means camera 1. Now, when I switch between the cameras, this is what I have to do. I have to turn off all the camera 2s and then turn on all the C1s. And that is just too much work for somebody to have to do. Also, another thing I have to do is extend all of these out to be the same length as the longest one. The longest one is 14 seconds. So I'll go ahead and show you that. I just output, press O, and I extend all the cameras out. And then I go to monitor, and I extend that out. The phone, I extend that out. So I'm basically going through every layer and just making sure they all go to the last frame. Now, what cannot work is video. You have to go into video and you have to tell it to hold the original clip, which is not hard. You just go into timing, and you say end condition is hold, and you press 0, and you can do that for all 3 of them at the same time. Just press O. Or maybe you can't do it for all 3 of them. You just have to go individually and press hold on all of them, and then that will extend it out to the duration that you want to extend it out to. Alright, so now everything is the same length as the longest one, and as you can see, I have all my camera data from each motion project. There's camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. And currently I am on camera 1, and that is for all the stuff that is C1. So the first thing I wanted to work on was I wanted to get the project to have a rig to where you could easily switch between each camera and everything will update. That's all you got to press. So let's go ahead and create a rig, new rig, and the best option for this, I'll just go ahead and say it's pop-up. So we'll do a pop-up, and what it is a snapshot of the whole order of things. There's no way to have a pop-up turn on and off layers. So the way to turn on and off layers is through opacity. So we will go into each of these items, and we will bring the opacity into the pop-up. So notice how those are there. Let me relabel these. Hold on. Okay, so I have all of my stuff labeled a little bit better now. So that way when we see the pop-up, we're able to see exactly what I'm affecting. So, as I said before, the only way to turn on and off layers is through the opacity channel. So we'll go into each layer that I want to opacity out, all 3 of those, and as well as the camera renders from Cinema 4D. And we're going to bring their opacity into the pop-up menu. So now we have all their opacities, and so we can read them a little bit better. So the idea is that we have 3 different snapshots because we have 3 different camera angles. So first we'll do camera 1. So we're already on camera 1. So everything that's labeled C1 should be turned on, and anything that is not should be turned off. Alright, so let's turn off the layers, their opacity, for all the other ones. So I've turned off camera 3 and camera 2. And now just camera 1's there. And we'll go ahead and rename these. This will be camera 1. We'll go into camera 2. We'll rename that one camera 2. And go to camera 3. And we'll rename that camera 3. Let's go back into 2. And now we'll keep everything that is 2. And we can just drag those off. I thought we could get them all, but I guess we can't. As you can see in the monitor, things are disappearing, and other things are going to be there. And then we will go to camera 3, and we will turn off camera 3 stuff. Looks like I have a duplicate in there. So as you can see, in order for me to switch between the types of camera angles, I have to go here, camera 2, but then I have to go over here as well and turn camera 2 on there so things can fit. And while all that works fine in motion, I want to be able to make this editable in Final Cut, and you cannot switch cameras in Final Cut. So, and let's just show you number 3 as well. Switch to camera 3 just so that we see that they're all working, and they are all working. So the rig's not bad in motion, and this would be something that could not be bad to sell, but I think it would be much more attractive if I could say it could be edited in Final Cut. And it took me a minute to figure out what to do, and there's no way to turn a camera on or flip to another camera, and I had no real way of figuring out how to do this. But then I was like, well, if I can't switch the cameras, then I need one camera. That's all I can use. So what I did was I figured, well, what if I keyframed the camera itself, the position and the rotation? And maybe the widget could store that keyframe information when I switch between pop-up camera 1, pop-up camera 2, and pop-up camera 3. And I tried that, and it surprisingly worked. So first off, we're just going to call this camera now. No more camera 1. And we're going to move the position of it and the rotation of it. And let's go ahead and actually go to camera, because that's the first one we're going to start on. Yeah, so now we're in camera, regular camera. And we're going to move the position and the rotation into the pop-up. And if you notice, it keeps those keyframes there. Not bad. And so the next thing we'll do is we'll go to camera 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to reset these values. Reset them. They're gone. And then we'll go to the camera 2 that we stored, and we will drag those positions onto camera. And now what we have are those same keyframes from camera 2 into camera 1. And we'll just delete camera 2 since we don't need it anymore. And now when you go into the pop-up menu, you have camera 2, that's working. But when we go back to camera 1, it's working as well. The drop zones are there as the placeholders. But as you can see, it works. Now if I go to camera 3, still bajiggity, doesn't work. So we'll just apply the same idea. So let's go into camera 3. We will delete this camera's keyframes, reset them. Remember, we're in camera 3 right now. You have to be in the correct pop-up that I made. And then just drag that to the camera. It stores all that data. We delete camera 3. And now when we go into the pop-up, we are essentially flipping. Notice the keyframes changing between each one. And that's how I was able to get different cameras, by keyframing the widget itself. So hopefully that will help you guys out. And there's also another problem that I ran into. If y'all remember, I said I also want to have only one image well that people can put their photo in. That way, if they want to cut between these two different camera angles, they don't have to reinsert an image into the well. So basically another time-saving utility and just making it easier to understand. Right now, what I have are multiple places that you can, multiple drop zones. And some of them aren't even labeled drop zones right now, because I was working in it in Motion, not Final Cut. So when you turn all these drop zones on, so let's say we turn on these drop zones. When you turn on a drop zone, it will go into the project and it will pop up right there. And you can't rename them, at least not as far as I know. It only takes the name of the source media itself. So it's really sucky that you can't rename it. If someone tells me how to do that, please let me know. I could not figure it out. But we'll go ahead, and I just want to. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but you can't link these medias together. So it made me start thinking, well, what's a way that they can all share the same file that they're using? And a great way to do that is called clone layers. So I had to essentially build 3 different clone layers, or 3 different layers in general. So I'm going to minimize all these just so we can see what I'm about to create in the layer panel. And what I'm going to create is object, and I'm going to create a new drop zone. And it pops up. I don't want it there. I want it in its own group. Let me go ahead and zero all that out so it sits at 0, 0, 0, 0 in rotation. So everything's at 0, good to go. And we'll call this the monitor. And same thing goes for a new drop zone. And we'll call this phone. And a new drop zone, and we'll call this tablet. And that's what I have right now. I have 3 different drop zones. And as you can see, they're still not labeled, so who knows where they are. They're probably the bottom 3. And so the next part is like, okay, well, let's clone these layers and see if it works. So when you press K, it clones the layer. And the idea is to just drag it in to the same layer. So there's something that you have to know that I did. I moved the keyframes from Cinema 4D, which is just a still keyframe. They actually don't move. As you can see, none of the numbers are changing. It just places it in the 3D world. And I moved it to a group instead of having it on the original layer that it came in on. And when you move it to the group, you get a lot of benefits to that. You can place text inside that group, and it'll be very easy to place. And you can move the X and Y without having to feel like you're destroying the original data that Cinema 4D gave you. So, that being said, so right now I have a clone layer of the monitor. We'll go ahead and label this monitor C2, just so we know what's going on. And you drag the image mask onto that one, and you can delete it. And the same thing can go, the same process can go for all these other ones. So phone C2, put it in the phone layer, and drag the same image mask onto that one. And of course, make sure that all this is zeroed out. You want all of this zeroed out. You don't want any of it in its location. Tablet. Okay, that one, clone it. Move it into the tablet folder. See, it as you move it in there, it gives its own new rotation and new position, but you delete it all. And then drag over the image mask. And now, what you have are huge layers. Of course, you have to scale these guys down because it doesn't work any other way. And just to explain things, we're gonna have to scale this down originally. You'll find out why this is important. And then once you turn on all your layers and the image masks are there, you then have your drop zones. Now, of course, this gets rid of our link that we had in the pop-up earlier. So we're going to have to delete all these from the widget. Just remove from pop-up widget. Remove them all. Oh, looks like we got to go through each one. That sucks. So we'll have to reset these, but not too hard to do. So we'll remove all these pop-up widgets. And we will do the same thing. We will go ahead and clone 2 of these, clone 2 of these, and clone 2 of these. And we'll go tablet C1, tablet camera 3, phone camera 1, phone camera 3, and then monitor camera 1, monitor camera 3. And let's go ahead and open up those layers. We'll move the monitor C3 in there. Move the image mask onto that one. Delete it. So now we are all set, and the next thing to do is we have to now drag these new clone layers into the pop-up menu so we can have them turn on and off when we need them to. And the reason you don't want to do the opacity of the group is because then that will make it a 2D group, and it will kind of render it out. And see that little R over here? You don't want that. So it's best if you just do the opacity on the layer itself. So we'll go ahead and bring these layers in here. Oh, I did not rename that one. Tablet C2. So we'll go ahead and bring all these new opacities into the pop-up menu. Oh, drag the opacity in. And now they're all there. Yay. So we're in camera 1, so of course camera 1, all these would turn off. And then we'll go to camera 2, and everything but camera 2 would turn off. And then we'll go to camera 3, and everything in camera 3 would turn off. Oh, and I also forgot to bring in the the opacities of the cameras as well. That's what was screwing me up. Okay, so that makes sense. So I got to drag these opacities into, these are the original renders, by the way. Got to drag those into the pop-up, so that way they'll turn off as well. I was getting very confused there for a minute. This is not a, there's a lot of places they can get you. They can bite you in the butt. Okay, so let's go back to camera 1. The camera 1 opacity is 100%, and all the other ones are 2. Alright, 0. Camera 2. The camera 2 is the background there. is there, and then camera 1 goes down, and then camera 3, of course, its opacity is up, and the others are down. I think this works. Let's see. So camera 2 working, camera 1 working, camera 3 not working. Hold on. Okay, so I know what happened. I had cloned a clone layer. Don't ever clone the clone, just clone the original. That can be problematic. But now when I flip between them, as you can see, one button does all of it, and I only have one image well in my project. Or 3 image wells. One for the phone, one for the tablet, and one for the monitor. To better be able to name these, you also want to make sure you publish. First off, we have to publish the pop-up rig. So now when we're in the pop-up rig, we have the pop-up, and we'll say camera angle. Give it a better name than that. And you can move it to the top. Other things that you want to publish are the scale, the pan and the scale. Those are ones I've found that are, pretty much you want them all the time. So that's for the tablet. We'll go ahead and go to the pop-up, and we'll make sure we move that under the tablet. I mean, Lord knows which one is the tablet, actually. Alright, so for the best way to check it, you just drag it in, and you'll see it pop up over there, and you'll be like, oh, okay, and then undo it. And that would be this is where you can kind of name it, so people understand what they're editing and where they're putting their images. Let's go ahead and publish this to the pan and the scale of that one as well. We'll go to project, move that one up here. Maybe it's this first one. Let's check it out. And it is, so we can say phone pan, phone scale, and of course we'll want that in the right order, and the same goes for monitor. Publish it. It's at the bottom. Move it top. Go ahead and put scale on top and rename it. Monitor scale. Monitor pan. So that way somebody knows a little bit about where it's going to sit. Alright, so let me show you what it looks like in Final Cut. This will be a different one, but it's essentially the same. It's got the same parameters and everything's the same. But under generators, you have to save it. First off, I should save this. You have to file and publish template, and that way it will be viewable in motion. I mean, in Final Cut. It won't be viewable if you just save it. You also have to make sure you publish as a Final Cut generator. That is another key thing, and of course, give your own category and theme. I'm going to cancel that since I've already made one, and then go ahead and make a new library. We'll just call it Untitled or Untitled 1. I don't know what that first one is. And and then we'll make a new project. Whatever, that's fine. Leave it untitled, sure. And now when you go into and drag it on, we'll press OK. That's fine. I'll make it to where you don't see it on my second display. And there's the video. And if you look in the inspector window, you can change to different camera views. We can go ahead and plug in some of those files. Let's let me bring in an image or two. I'll bring in the regular camera files that I had, those black alphas, and we'll just put those in its place. So if you click the image well, you can just drag it, apply the clip. We'll do this one as well, apply the clip, and then this one as well, apply the clip. And now, as you can see, 3 different videos, and I can switch camera angle, and it's got the same stuff on there. Press play, as well as camera 3. Same stuff. And there you have it. Clearly you can see where Apple could make some much needed changes. It'd be nice to just be able to switch cameras as a published rig inside of Motion, as well as inside of as Final Cut, as well as the clone layers actually is a pretty good workaround. I don't necessarily see Apple needing to switch much on that one. The clone layers works pretty well, I think. And then also it'd be nice if there was some color that you could add to layers. That way it'd be a little easier to differentiate between groups that are, you know, identifiably different, and it'd be nice to be able to have them in different colors. So if you have any questions, post them in the YouTube comment. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing, and hopefully this will help out some peeps. Alright, y'all have a good day. See you later.